Hello, and welcome to this edition of Chrysler's Current Service Information. Over the past few years, phrases such as the greenhouse effect, destruction of the ozone layer, and increase in ultraviolet radiation have become a part of everyday conversation. They're related to a phenomenon that could have drastic consequences for life on Earth, and they're also related to air conditioning service. You see, R12, the refrigerant used in automotive air conditioning systems, is a member of a group of chemicals known as chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs. After being released into the air, CFCs find their way into the upper atmosphere and deteriorate there. The chlorine that results destroys ozone molecules. Ozone forms a protective layer that blocks the majority of ultraviolet light from reaching the Earth. In the absence of this shield, this radiation can reach the Earth and cause grave damage. Because of this, the United States has signed an international agreement called the Montreal Protocol that seeks to reduce the amount of CFCs released into the air. One of the consequences of this agreement is that research is being conducted right now on replacement refrigerants. A replacement should be available in a few years. Another consequence is the limitation of R12 production. This will increase its costs. Also possible is the mandatory use of refrigerant recovery and recycling systems, as well as inspection of cars equipped with air conditioning. For this reason, we need to discuss the operation and use of a refrigerant recovery and recycling station, such as this OTC's model OT17350 during air conditioning service. This refrigerant recovery and recycling system uses a compressor to draw refrigerant vapor and liquid from an air conditioning system. The compressor draws the system down to a vacuum of 17 inches and shuts off automatically when recovery is complete. During recovery, refrigerant is drawn from the vehicle into the heat exchange oil separator, where oil and other condensables are separated from the refrigerant. The refrigerant then passes through the recovery compressor and is routed back to the heat exchange oil separator, where it becomes liquid. Once it is liquid, it is transferred into the 30-pound storage tank. During recycling, a pump circulates liquid refrigerant through a filter dryer until the refrigerant is free of moisture and contaminants. Now, let's look at how easy the equipment is to use. To recover refrigerant, first run the vehicle for a few minutes with the air conditioning system on. Then shut the engine off. This aids the recovery process. Attach a manifold gauge set to the low and high sides of the system to make sure there is refrigerant in the system to recover. Then attach the center hose of the gauge set to the inlet of the recovery station. The unit is equipped with quick-seal low and high-pressure hoses for the manifold gauge set. These hoses are designed to prevent Freon from escaping into the atmosphere. Next, open both valves of the manifold gauge set and make sure both the liquid and gas valves of the recovery tank are open. After plugging in the station, turn on the main power switch. Pressing the compressor start switch will activate the compressor and cause the compressor on light to glow. The compressor will shut off automatically when recovery is complete. This usually only takes a few minutes. Watch the manifold gauge set for a rise in pressure for 2 minutes after the compressor shuts off. Now, this is a sign that residual refrigerant is still in the system, and you'll need to activate the compressor again. After refrigerant recovery, you'll need to drain the oil separator of AC system oil. Begin by making sure the oil drain valve is shut off. Then open the accumulator pressurizing valve for a few seconds. Otherwise, the vacuum in this part of the station will prevent the oil from draining. Then open the oil drain valve. The oil catch bottle is marked in 1-ounce increments so that you can put the same amount of new oil into the system. After oil has stopped draining, be sure to close the oil drain valve. The storage tank in the station will hold the refrigerant from up to 10 vehicles. When the tank is full, the compressor will shut off automatically and the tank full indicator will light on the control panel. The station does require periodic calibration for automatic shutoff. Refer to the operating manual for proper procedures. If the vehicle you were working on was not completely discharged, you'll need to change tanks. Be sure to close all tank valves before disconnecting and removing the tank. At this point, the tank will have to be recycled before being removed from the recovery stand. You can recycle a tank with as little as 8 pounds of refrigerant in it, but for greatest efficiency, tanks should be full before recycling. Begin the recycling process by closing the valves on the manifold gauge set and disconnecting it from the unit. Then, with the tank installed in the station, make sure the tank valves are opened. Incidentally, any excess air will be purged automatically from the recovery recycling unit. Other units may have to be purged manually. Next, with the unit plugged in and the main power switch on, depress the recycle start switch. The indicator light will come on and the refrigerant pump will start. The bubbles which appear in the moisture indicator at startup will disappear in a few seconds if there is enough refrigerant in the system. Recycle the refrigerant for at least 30 minutes and then continue until the moisture indicator dot in the control panel turns green. The recycling stage can take up to 2 hours depending on the moisture content of the refrigerant. But if the indicator does not turn green after 2 hours, the refrigerant filter is probably saturated and should be changed. The filter must also be changed if the filter monitor needle registers in the red zone. This indicates the filter is clogged. Well, that pretty much wraps up our session on the OTC refrigerant recovery system. One final safety point. The unit is equipped with a high-pressure cutoff switch that will automatically shut off the system if it senses high pressure. Also, the operating guide accompanying the recovery and recycling station contains information about maintenance as well as a setup procedure. So be sure to read the guide carefully before operating the station. Well, you've seen how easy the system is to use. Some additional benefits of the system are: it's relatively maintenance-free. It's compatible with existing air conditioning service equipment. And by recycling refrigerant, you can pay for the unit in 1 to 2 years, allowing you to save money while helping to save the environment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Chrysler's current service information.